A wild, insane Monday Night Football game filled with horrendous officiating, and this was the worst. Cassius Marsh called for a taunting penalty after sacking Ben Roethlisberger on third down. Marsh is fired up. He's a former Steeler. He made a huge play to get Pittsburgh's offense off the field. Marsh stares at the opposing sideline after kicking his leg. He's amped. He didn't taunt. Runs to his sideline, and ref Tony Corrente sticks out his hip and bumps into Marsh. Corrente inexplicably throws a flag for taunting. Come on, what a joke. Absolutely an embarrassment. I hate the emphasis on taunting from the competition committee. I hate the enforcement of this dopey rule. It was over the top. It was wrong. So instead of punting, Pittsburgh gets a first down and eventually goes on to kick a field goal to make it 26-20. That was a disgrace. That was a joke. That was an embarrassment. Oh, and there's more. How about the phantom penalty on James Daniels for 15 yards to wipe a Justin Fields to Jimmy Graham touchdown off the board? That was beyond embarrassing. I mean, take a look. He wasn't outside the tackle box. And by the way, he whiffed on T.J. Watt. I mean, come on. Those are 7 points. And they should have flagged, as you saw, Hightower for hitting Fields a few plays later. Chicago got flagged 12 times for 115 yards. Pittsburgh, 5 for 30. I mean, come on. The taunting call was game-changing. That impacts both wild card chases. The other two were beyond egregious as well. And now Pittsburgh won, and they don't have to give it back. And Big Ben had a game-winning drive, and Mike Tomlin won his 150th game, moving past our guy Bill Cowher on the Steelers' all-time list. And Pittsburgh's 5-3, and Watts and Cam Hayward were great, and the Steelers have already outkicked all my expectations. But I still don't believe in this team. I mean, you look at the schedule after Detroit, and listen, it's murderer's row. I mean, look at this. It's impossible. And I still think Baltimore and Cleveland and Cincinnati are all better than the Steelers, and Pittsburgh misses the playoffs. Now, if Bears fans can rightly stop screaming about the atrocious, embarrassing officiating last night, there were some huge positives for my guy Justin Fields. The late-game heroics, the throws on the run. He established the tight ends, the throws to Mooney and Robinson late. Justin Fields absolutely has it. And once the Bears do the right thing and fire Matt Nagy, Fields will be free. He played well enough to beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh late. But he can't beat the Steelers crowd, the refs, and his own head coach. That was some brutal, unacceptable officiating. Cannot happen. Aaron Rodgers made his weekly Tuesday appearance on the Pat McAfee show on SiriusXM's Mad Dog Sports Radio today, and listening to Rodgers for nearly 15 minutes as he addressed the fallout of his appearance last week, he certainly, as you heard right there, he struck a very different tone. He apologized for making comments that he said were misleading. He referenced that everyone is entitled to their opinion, and listen, he's excited to get back to playing football. And Rodgers reiterated he's an athlete, not an activist, and he's going to get back to what he does best, playing football. And this, of course, is 4 days removed from, and it's far removed from, talk of draconian NFL regulations and COVID protocols based in shaming and not science. And today needed to happen from Aaron Rodgers because, as you know, and we talked about it at length on Friday after the original interview he did with McAfee last week, I vehemently disagreed with what Rodgers said last week. Every single element of it. And I wish that on Friday he had the same tone and tenor that he did today, but he didn't. He's going to have to live with that. He owned it today. This was a much better version of Aaron Rodgers. But the conversation now needs to shift to Rodgers returning to the field for the huge matchup with the Seattle Seahawks Sunday on the NFL and CBS. And assuming he tests negative and doesn't show symptoms, the expectation is Aaron Rodgers plays on Sunday. If Rodgers plays, the Packers win. If Rodgers plays, the Packers can still get the 1 seed in the NFC. This after the Rams and the Cowboys stunningly lost. And while the Packers trail the Cardinals currently, remember, they have the tiebreaker because of the head-to-head win. If Rodgers doesn't get cleared, Packers will lose. It's that simple. Jordan Love was dreadful on Sunday in a very winnable game against the Chiefs in Arrowhead. Love showed nothing. It was more like Jordan Love. Zero. Zip. Nada. He had nothing working. And this was against a Kansas City team that was begging the Green Bay Packers to win. We've seen backup quarterbacks turn into instant heroes this year. Not Jordan Love. This is why trading up for him instead of drafting a receiver in 2020 never made any sense. I was very happy Rodgers showed contrition and empathy today. It was needed and a far cry from Friday's disastrous and cringe-inducing chat. Here's hope Rodgers can get back to what he does best on Sunday, playing football at an MVP level. What the heck was that? From the Buffalo Bills on Sunday. A loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars, the lowly, pathetic, embarrassing Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars who are playing without James Robinson. My guy Josh Allen was dreadful. And I love Josh Allen. I still think he's going to be in the mix for MVP, and I still think he's a franchise quarterback, and I still think the Bills are going to the Super Bowl, and they remain my pick to win the whole thing. This, stunning, unacceptable, alarming. And you heard Josh Allen refer to the effort. That's what was most damning here. And you heard Jacksonville players saying that they didn't feel like Buffalo wanted it, and Josh talking about the energy level. This team needs to treat every single team the same way. They need to keep their focus, the eye on the prize, and look, there's a lot that needs to clean up at the end of the day. Josh Allen was not any good. Josh Allen looked like he did as a rookie, where he's running backwards and was not protecting the football. The offensive line was terrible. The inability to run the ball reared its ugly head, and this is why we argued maybe Brandon Beane should have traded for someone like Melvin Gordon at the trade deadline. I was so disappointed in the Buffalo Bills. Now, still think they're going to win the AFC. AFC is wide open, but this was a real letdown and a complete and utter hot mess. This was the most stunning result of the NFL season. The Buffalo Bills, a juggernaut, the number one defense in the NFL. And I don't want to hear about the officiating, okay? You know, we ranted about the officiating being brutal and anti-Chicago to start the show. That's a totally different scenario. Chicago was the inferior team. The Bills should have been able to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars if Jacksonville played with 15 men on the field on defense. That was a disgrace, a stunner. Look, it's a week-to-week league in the NFL. A lot of crazy upsets. I still believe in the Bills' big picture. That, simply put, can't happen. Must be a learning experience for the Buffalo Bills. The confidence level that I have in the Dallas Cowboys took a major hit on Sunday. The Dallas Cowboys looked lost in a home loss to the Denver Broncos. Honestly, this wasn't even close. The Cowboys got absolutely spanked, smacked, destroyed. Dak Prescott, who usually is in that 70 to 75% range in terms of completion percentage, Dak Prescott missed 20 passes he threw. The Denver Broncos just traded Von Miller. They walked into Dallas and absolutely destroyed the Cowboys. Just can't happen. You can't lose that kind of game. In general, can't lose that kind of game at home. You know, it's crazy. I thought the Dallas Cowboys were above this, where you've seen these kind of losses or they don't take the opposition seriously in the recent past. I thought this group with this coaching staff at home with Dak back, losing that game was never even a consideration. I mean, Dak was missing CeeDee Lamb deep. They couldn't run the ball. The offensive line was terrible. The run defense was atrocious. Jerry Jones on his radio show was livid today. Very disappointed in the team. Very disappointed in Mike McCarthy. They better turn the page on this, because never in a million years did I see this happening. I got to get this off my chest. I still love the Rams, but that loss to the Tennessee Titans on Sunday Night Football was concerning. I mean, looked like Matthew Stafford was back playing for the rebuilding since 1957 Detroit Lions. Worst game he's played in a Rams uniform. First time in LA that he's been throwing a couple of picks in the same game. You see that, 2 interceptions, that's the most in terms of the season rank. He was sacked 5 times. Offensive line was dreadful. And honestly, you watch this game on Sunday night, and I thought that LA was going to win by double digits. Shame on me for thinking that. Look, I thought at the end of the day that the LA Rams would win this game by double digits, and I thought they were going to absolutely smack Tennessee without Derrick Henry. Now, I still think the Rams are going to end up making the Super Bowl, and they're still my pick. But this was a stunning, just an absolutely perplexing laying of an egg on national TV. And if you watch that game and you see what transpired, this game was over in the second quarter. There was no chance of a comeback. Sean McVay has obviously Matthew Stafford and all the shiny toys, and nothing could, at the end of the day, be jump-started. It was a major problem when you look at it for the Rams. Now, it's crazy. Last week, and I've been telling you all year, staying consistent, Buffalo, the Rams, the Dallas Cowboys, top 3 on my list for the Super Bowl, and those 3 teams really let me down, let themselves down over this past weekend. Again, want to stress, week-to-week league, but my goodness, what a disaster.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell for more videos.